Hi guys, welcome back and thank you for tuning in again. In this video I'm going to be talking you through my very first aquarium build. I'm going for an acrylic aquarium, but in no means is this going to be a how-to, because as I said, it's the very first time I'm doing it. To me, it's about seeing how cost effective it is, how easy it is to do, and whether it's worthwhile doing rather than just going out and buying your own. I got my acrylic from cheapplastics.co.uk. I was originally going to go for a 400 by 400 by 400mm cubic tank. However, when I decided I was going to put the tank, I thought I didn't quite want those dimensions, it wouldn't quite work for me, so I went for a 400 by 300 by 400mm tank. However, when the plastics came, I did a dry fit, which is essentially putting the pieces together as I want them to go, but without obviously any sealant or anything like that. And I don't particularly like the dimensions that I'm using. It doesn't quite work for me, it looks a little bit odd. I was considering just scrapping those pieces of acrylic and ordering again, but then I thought, well, hold on a minute, this is a bit of an experiment for me as it is. There's no point throwing more money at it. Let's build the tank with the pieces I've got and then see, you know, if it is easy enough, if it is cost effective, then I can obviously build the tank that is suited better for my needs, or even a bigger tank in the future. So I'm just going to stick with it. I ordered the pieces, as I say, from cheapplastics.co.uk, but I ordered them cut to size and the edges polished. I bought 6 pieces in total, obviously the base, the 4 sides around the outside of the tank, and I have gone for a 6th piece for the lid and a bit of a brace. A tank this size probably doesn't really need a brace. However, that being said, I wanted to put one on anyway as part of the trial that I was doing, and obviously cut out the lid for that. I've gone for 6mm acrylic, again due to the size and the cost. That was all that was required. So I've got the base piece here in front of me, which I'll show you more detail in a second, but that is 400 by 300. And then I've got the 2 sides, which sit on top of the base here and in between the front and the back. So when I was purchasing those pieces, I had to bear in mind the width of the acrylic I was using. As I said, it's 6mm acrylic, so the front and the back brings a total of 12mm, meaning that the side pieces could only be 288mm from front to back, and I put them as 394mm from bottom to top. The reason being, obviously, the width of the acrylic on the base, that's not a necessity like the front to back distances, but it's just something that was a personal preference to me. In terms of the front and back pieces, as I say, they also sit on the base, so they are 400, but then to meet the same height as the side panels, they're 394 again, so it is all level on top. I've got my base piece here. I've put electrical tape underneath, just so when I put the sides on to be able to glue it later, I can stick it up. And I've rolled back the protective paper and just stuck that back as well, just so we've got a clear edge to work with. As with glass aquariums, you use obviously silicone. However, with acrylic, I'm using this acrylic cement. It's Weldon 4SC. It's fast set, clear, water thin solvent cement for acrylics. The working time is 1 to 2 minutes. The fixture time is about 3 minutes, but it will strengthen up over the 72 hours. I'll probably leave it a little bit longer than that as well. As I said, I will be using the electrical tape here to help me with this, and a square just to make sure that it obviously is fitting correctly together, all nice and square and level. If I need, I have got some clamps on hand to use those as well to put the tank together. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. I'm going to be using a syringe. You might wonder why this syringe is here, to get the cement from the tub into the applicator bottle, because this is the applicator bottle I'm going to be using to obviously seal the tank. So as I've said, this is not a how-to, but they are that is the equipment I'm going to be using, and I'm going to essentially record the video now of me building it and just talking you through it a little bit as I go along the way. Okay guys, so as you can see, I didn't actually include the video footage of the tank build itself. 2 reasons for that. First off, the angle of the camera was awful. You could hardly see what was going on, and second of all, the battery died on my camera in itself. I know, amateur, but it did unfortunately, so I decided just to leave it out altogether. In terms of the tank build itself and how I found it, as I've said to you numerous times, this is my very first aquarium build, my very first fish tank build using any material at all, whether it be glass, acrylic or anything else. It's the very first time that I've worked with acrylic cement, it's the very first time that I've worked with acrylic altogether, and the tools that are required as explained earlier. However, it was pretty straightforward. It went together as intended. The instructions and the videos that I'd watched, they were pretty self-explanatory, but it also was pretty simple. For an amateur like myself, a first timer like myself, it went together really, really nicely. The base and the sides and the front and the back, you know, it just wasn't a problem at all. That being said, as I mentioned earlier on in the video, I wanted to go for a full top brace and use a router to cut out where the lid would be and the gap in the middle, and then use that cutout to be the lid itself. However, this was not straightforward. This I couldn't do it. I need more practice at it. In fact, the piece of acrylic that I was using to do this with is now basically gone in the bin. It's scrap. I couldn't use the router properly. Since I've watched a few more videos and I see where my mistakes have been, but at the end of the day, using the router to get a nice clean finish, straight lines, and the look that I was going for, I couldn't do it. So am I put off building tanks myself in the future? No, I'm not. Completely not at all. I will be going on from this tank and building other tanks. I'll be building bigger tanks, I'll be building various types of tanks, and I have the confidence to do so. And the more that I build, the better my skills will get and the better the finish will be. In terms of the bracing though and the top of these tanks, my next couple I won't intend to do a full top brace. I'll go through other sorts of bracing, maybe Euro bracing or whatever it may be. And in the meantime, I'll use scrap piece of acrylic to practice with the router. I would like to be able to do a full top brace and just router out the squares, the rectangles needed. But at this moment in time, I'm not going to throw more money at buying full pieces of acrylic and cutting them out using the router. I need more practice at doing that, and it does require, in my opinion, a greater skill set than what I've currently got as an amateur. It's the very first time I've used a router, and I need more practice at it. Even the little bit that I did, I got better, but not good enough. So I think with a bit more practice, I will get there eventually and be able to achieve what I want to achieve in terms of the full top bracing. However, tanks themselves, in terms of the base and the four sides, yeah, I'll happily pick up the acrylic, go and buy the acrylic, and I'll spend money on the acrylic to build tank after tank after tank using that. I'm pretty happy with the outcome so far. Let's put some water in it and see if it actually holds together, and hopefully no leaks. All this was to say that the ease of putting the tank together was pretty simple, to be honest. And yes, I would do it again, and yes, an amateur like me can do it. Okay guys, it's been 5 days now since this was put together and cemented with the acrylic cement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the plastic covering off it, take the sellotape off it, and essentially fill it with water and basically see if it holds, if it's waterproof, if it holds onto the water, if there's any leaks. So wish me luck. Okay, so all the cellophane is off now, the protective wrapping. You can see that we've got like some watermarks here type thing, which I suspect is potentially acrylic cement, but it does seem to be coming off quite easy, and I think some acetone will easily take that off. In terms of everywhere else, again, I think there's some acetone around the bottom. You can see this room here. I'd have to look into what that has caused that. It could just be the protective paper that was on the bottom, and that's where it's met. There's definitely on the outside some of that cement as well, but you know, first time of doing this, not too bad of a job. It looks like a tank. It's just not perfect in terms of its cleanliness around the outside and what have you, but you know, I'm sure that can probably be cleaned up and fixed up.
So I'll see if some acetone nail polish remover will bring that off, and hopefully we'll have a quite clean finish. But for what it is, you know, for what it's going to be used for, I don't think it's too bad. I don't think it's too bad at all. So, and everything on this tank, bar the heater, as I've said, is going to be DIY. So the tank itself is DIY, the filtration is going to be DIY, and the lighting is going to be DIY. So let's add some water to it and see if it holds the water. Oh no, it's leaking.
Okay guys, so as you saw there, yes, there was a leak unfortunately. I was devastated. Filling it up, thinking all's going so well. I've said before about how easy it went together and how confident I was and how I'd build many more tanks, but there was a leak. Okay, so yeah, nightmare, but in my opinion it's now resolved. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I drained the water and use more cement, acrylic cement, on the weak area, so to speak, where the leak was coming from. It was only coming from a tiny bit, and I just think it was either an air bubble in the acrylic cement, or just for some reason no acrylic or not enough acrylic in that area. So I dried it out, re-cemented it, and fingers crossed it will now hold. Let's see.
Okay, trial number 2. Let's see what happens this time. Fingers crossed we won't have issues like we did last time, aka a leak. So far so good, although it did get this high last time. So let's see what happens. Not seems to be any issues. There does look like a couple of water patches underneath, but they were there. The table was wet before, just done a water change on the grow out tank. Okay, I think it's got higher than it did last time. I'm going to pretty much fill it right to the brim, and we'll see. As I've said before, this will be a complete DIY tank, except for the heating. The next project for this tank will be the filtration. If this goes well, I do have plans to build more, but this definitely is higher than it got last time. Okay. As you can see, it is right to the rim and does seem to be holding tight. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the water in here for at least the rest of today, and then see how it holds up and how it performs under the pressure. Obviously, when running the tank it won't be as full as it is now, but it won't be far off. So let's see if it holds up.
Success! Success! Yes, it filled up this time without leaking. So I managed to get it right to the top, as you saw, without leaking at all. And it's held. It's held. I've had it in there for the whole day. I've had it in there for more than a day, and it's held together. There's no leaking. There's no problem areas that I can see at the moment. So let's move on to the next step. The next step will be the filtration that I'm going to do on this. As I've told you before, it will be DIY filtration, but it will be in a future video. And yeah, thank you for watching. If this has been useful to you, you've liked it, please give me a like, please subscribe, please share this as well. I really appreciate you watching the videos and giving me feedback. I thrive off the feedback that I get and the comments that I get from you. I will put a link in the description of the website that I've used to get the materials from. Give it a go yourself. If I can do it, trust me, you can do it. Start off small like I did, start off simple, and I'm sure you won't have any problems. Okay, I had one little leak, but we can skip past that. Okay guys, thanks again. Really appreciate your support, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks guys.